The views and opinions expressed in the following podcast do not necessarily reflect those of the producers, the affiliates, or digital platforms hosting this podcast. All content is for the purposes of education, conjecture, and at times entertainment. We promote inclusiveness and diversity. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Into the Deep with Jay Costa. Welcome to Into the Deep. I'm Jay Costa. I am excited about today's guest. He's a lifestyle and health coach whom I absolutely love and adore his work and his mission. Today's guest is Kellen Gaulden. Kellen is a lifestyle and health coach. He's a health consultant, and he helps people improve their health through their mindset and their actions. Kellen feels that life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. He's authored several books, and his online content are some of my favorite videos to watch. We talk about so much in this episode. We talk about diet and lifestyle and how it directly impacts our health. We talk about the importance of forgiveness, something that a lot of us could learn from. So join me as we seek light and journey into the deep with Kellen Gaulden. Enjoy. Kellen, thank you so very much for joining me here on Into the Deep. I am so excited about this.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's always just a pleasure to see you, actually. So, it's I don't think I can say I'm happy to be here just to give some insight and just talk about some things,
I love that. I know. I was super excited. As soon as the camera came on, I was like, yes.
Right.
It's so good seeing you again, man. So for those watching and those listening, I know who you are, but could you share with our listeners and our viewers who you are and what it is you do, my friend?
Yeah, sure, definitely. My name is Kellen Gaulden, and I'm a lifestyle and health coach. And lifestyle, in the areas of lifestyle that I focus on is mainly about mindset and understanding. I help bring conscious conversations to individuals to help them understand how their diet and lifestyle directly impacts their health. I help them connect the dots. That way they can see the trail of things that they're doing and how it's contributing to the issues that they're actually dealing with, whether it's with their health in certain areas, rather it's nutrition, stress, lack of sleep, and all these different things. So, as a lifestyle and mindset coach, it's really just about helping people understand what they're doing and the impact that it's having on their health, because we've been led to believe in this society that we don't have that much control over our health and the issues that we're dealing with. There's a lot of focus on genes and genetics, but to be honest, a lot of things that happen and occur to people in our civilization, it all comes back to their lifestyle and what they're doing. And once we control our lifestyle, we can actually control the impact that these chronic diseases that we're faced with and what they're having on our society.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more. I think you hit so many different nails on the head there. And I love the fact, as someone who, George and I, we're fans, we follow along. And, I love the fact that you really strip it down and get back to basics, which I feel like that's what a lot of folks are maybe even missing in, our hectic life and how society's kind of become. You talk about things like sleep, the simple basic necessities of sleep to diet and everything else. I love that.
Yeah, and because that's what it's really all about. It's really about the basics, because it's about how you're living, because the way you live is ultimately going to determine the things that you pick up as you progress through life. And our society is not really designed for like health promoting activities. So it's really up to the individual to be responsible for their own health, because everywhere you go, there's health compromising things around you. You go to the gas station, you got all the snacks there. You're just trying to get gas, but it's everything in the world to reel you in. You try to check out at the grocery store, the whole checkout line is full of snacks and things, and all these things are compromising. So understanding that it's up to the individual to make their own choices moving forward through life. And these lifestyle choices ultimately lead you down a path of either health and wellness.
I couldn't agree more with that either. I mean, it's so true. Like, how many temptations do there have to be, at the checkout?
Everywhere. Like, and it's, those are all impulse purchases. They're there because you're checking out, you're probably on the run, don't have a whole lot of time. And we just tend to grab and go just because. But when they're understanding to know that, you might think that this one item might not hurt you, but the compounded effects of these things consistently, that's where it really gets you at. So, bringing that awareness to people to help them understand certain things is really what it's all about. Because when you become more aware of certain things, you tend to do a little bit better in that area. And that's where it's really about, just understanding things and then moving forward with a health promoting practice.
Absolutely. Do you think how would people react, in your opinion? Like, how would people react if, like, let's say they're at like some department store, and they're at the checkout, and instead of all those candies, what if they had fruit? What if they had vegetables? How do you think people would react?
Well, at this stage, it'll probably be a culture shock right now.
Right.
It'd be like, oh, what is this? And some people might be like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is different. But I think it'll be a culture shock. And, people it'll probably take some time to catch on with it. But I think what will happen is it's like, if you do more, let's say, removing of the things that were there and put more educational information there, that'll definitely be more beneficial. Because imagine when you're standing in that checkout line and it's 3 people ahead of you, but you see more updated scientific information and facts about health and wellness, stress and sleep, exercise and relationships. If you see that stuff there, you'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't know this. I never thought about this. And it actually turns on the light bulb. And that's where you really have to begin with the educational aspect. Because when you start pushing things in front of people, people tend to reject certain things. Like, I don't want that. Give me what I'm used to having. But
Right.
When you put information in front of them, it allows them to think and be like, oh, well, I am having trouble sleeping, or, I have been stressed out lately. And it makes them think about what they're going through. And most people genuinely want to do better. And when you turn on the light bulb, it kind of sits with people and they tend to start making better decisions about the things that they're dealing with.
100%. And that's what I love about what you're doing. You talk about, like, if we can educate people, if we can bring some information to people and put it out there. Now, obviously, there's a lot of things going on in social media. A lot of people use social media for different reasons. You're using this platform to literally educate people and to enlighten people and bring forth information about a myriad of subjects. And I have to applaud that. What got you on this trajectory, Kellen?
Well, it all started with my own health issues that I was dealing with. At one point, I was 248 pounds. My blood pressure I had stage 2 hypertension. Blood pressure was 145/93. My body was in a pre-diabetic state, and I knew I needed to make some changes. And talking to my doctor, they went through the basics. Hey, medications in your future. You're going to have to make lifestyle changes. And I didn't really know what it was about. I think, maybe eat healthier and, lose some weight and, things like that.
Right.
But I didn't get a grasp of it. And I knew that I needed to make some changes because at that time I had 3 children and I wasn't on a path of, healthful living. And I knew that I wanted to be around for them and I needed to make these changes. And the way my lifestyle was at that point, I knew that if I continued down the road that I was going down, that I wouldn't be there to support them in the way that I wanted to be there with them. I want to be out there, playing ball with the kids and chasing them around the house and not have to worry about, physical ailments or, a chronic condition and things like that. And this is what kind of got me into diving into lifestyle and understanding what it's really all about. And on my journey, it was a 6-year journey that I was on. I started learning more about everything, like, not just nutrition and, exercise, but also about how your sleep affects your health, how your stress level impacts your health, even along so with your relationships and everything else. because a lot of my issues were directly rooted into my stress levels and my poor nutrition. And once I started getting the grasp of these things and understanding the different type of management techniques that I can apply in these different areas, I started to see my life change like before my eyes. And this didn't take, like this whole 6-year journey that I was on. When it started clicking, that's when everything started happening. I went from 248 all the way down to 220 pounds. And then from 220, I just saw everything all the light bulbs turn on. And I ended up being at 176 at my lowest in the best health of my life. And I felt better than I had ever did. And the main thing about it is like, I have to tell people how they can achieve these type of goals, because I didn't spend my time killing myself in the gym. I wasn't on a restrictive diet. I just understood what lifestyle really meant and made the adjustments in all these areas and how it's impacted me. And I was able to achieve a goal of losing 80 plus pounds in less than 8 months. And, that's kind of unheard of, especially if you're not like in the gym, burning it off and restricting yourself in all these different ways. I was able to accomplish this goal and actually maintain it, because now it's been 3 years and I haven't even gained the weight back. I haven't been dealing with any chronic issues. Well, my blood pressure has been in check. And, this is one of those stories that you don't really see. You see these great transitions and then you look back at them 2 years later, 3 years later, and they gained the weight back or they're having other issues and things like that. But once I found this route and this journey through lifestyle changes, I just wanted to bring it to the forefront and to the light to help people understand that, hey, you can do this once you understand what you're doing to compromise your own health. Once you understand these things that you're doing wrong, all you have to do is simply change them and implement this change, and you're going to see the difference in how your body responds to everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. And, you bring up so many awesome points again. How often people, they're working their regular jobs, doing their thing, sometimes they work their 9 to 5. Sometimes they're doing overnight shifts. Maybe they're doing all kinds of things. They come home, maybe they're not eating the best. Maybe they crack a couple of beers or they're having their glasses of wine and they're doing the thing. Maybe they're not sleeping well. Like you're getting down to the root of it, like saying, look, hey, start looking at what you're doing. Like, why do you think it's so important for people to really well, actually, I'm going to change gears here. Like, why is it so difficult for people to initially find the discipline to actually change course, to know internally? Because a lot of people that are going to be listening and watching right now that know they need to change course. I've been there. I lost weight. I lost myself 80 pounds and it took discipline. But why do you think it's so challenging for individuals that know they need to make the change, but can't quite make it?
Well, I think I was diverted to the amount of information that's out there. It's a ton of information out there. And what happens is when you put a lot of information in front of people, they tend not to make a choice and a decision on the route that they want to go. And they tend to try different things and kind of be all over the place. And one thing about it is most people don't really have a goal of what they're looking to achieve. And one thing that I teach on my platform is understanding what your goals are and understanding what the spectrum looks like when it comes down to overall health and wellness. With this spectrum, you have optimum health here, and then you have poor health there. Somewhere we all fall in between at some point. So you have to know what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve and make sure that your habits align to the certain part of the spectrum that you're trying to be on. So if you're someone that's looking to, let's say you're dealing with a chronic issue, you got high blood pressure, diabetes, or some type of chronic disease, you're on the backside of the spectrum. And 9 times out of 10, your lifestyle choices and your habits, they're on the backside of this spectrum. They're causing you to be here. So now what most people try to do, they try to adopt these diets and these quick fads, and they may get some progress here and there, but it's not always sustainable. So what happens, you have to understand that, okay, I'm on the back end. I want to be here. I might not want to be super healthy, but I need to get out of this chronic state that I'm in. Right. So now your lifestyle choices and your goals should all be health promoting choices. Everything that you do should be progressively moving forward. And when people understand this spectrum, they're able to actually make better decisions day to day instead of diving into a whole lifestyle change. Some people like, okay, my health is an issue. Now I'm going to go vegan and try to, clear these things up, or I'm going to do the keto diet. And they're kind of just trying to find something. But
Right.
the thing is, if you understand where you're at on this spectrum and you understand lifestyle changes and health promoting decisions, the things that you're doing that are compromising your health, now you're able to do better consistently every day. One day you might do great and eat on the upper end of the spectrum, and you might have a bad day the next day, and that's fine. But once you understand, like, man, I had a crappy day today, I need to do better tomorrow. And if all your decisions start to align on the front end of the spectrum, you're going to see your health improve. And this doesn't only relate to nutrition, but also with exercise, sleep, stress, all these different things. If you know you're highly stressed and you're always stressed out and you're back here on the spectrum, by making health promoting decisions, whether you pick up a stress management technique or start meditation or things like that to control your stress, the more you do it, the better you're going to get control of it, and the closer you're going to be on the upper end of the spectrum when it comes down to your overall health. And the best thing about these type of decisions is when you make health promoting decisions one day, it's easier to do the next day. And that compounded effect is where you really get the benefits from.
Absolutely. Like it's like once you get on that trajectory, you're almost like in the zone, and it's like,
yeah, exactly.
You just want to keep going. Like, all right, I got this. Day 1, day 2, whatever. And it's true. Like you start feeling like, all right, I can do this. And you feel enabled in a positive direction. And then sometimes, there's that, like, you get to that point where you're like expecting things. Maybe you start plateauing. Maybe you're like feeling, maybe you have that cheat day, maybe you have that day where, like, all right, yeah, well, it's quick and easy for me to get a pizza or like a Hot Pocket or whatever, and like slippery slope territory. Like, what advice would you give folks that maybe they're on that trajectory, they're in the zone, and maybe they just have a couple off days? Like, how would you, I guess, inspire them to get back on course?
Well, the main thing they should know is that this is going to happen no matter where you're at in your lifestyle, these changes. You're always going to have a day where you slip up and, something happens. But having that self-compassion to know that this is a journey and one day don't define you is going to be the biggest part of it. Because what's one day out of 365 days of the year? It's nothing. That one day don't make you, no matter what it was that went wrong. Because now you know that the next day I need to do better. But where it becomes a problem is you let this one day one bad habit, this one bad thing turn into a bad habit, and then it starts the domino effect of just going downhill. You miss the gym one day, yeah, that's cool. Don't miss it 2 days. Definitely don't miss it 3 days, because now you're creating a habit of just not going anymore, and that's where the problem comes. So having that self-compassion to know that, hey, I'm on a journey. My lifestyle is going to extend throughout my whole life. So this one bad day or bad week doesn't define where I'm at on this path. I know I did bad this day. Let me do better the next day. I know I didn't work out today. I'm going to work out twice as hard yesterday. This compounded effect is really what matters, because, again, one day doesn't define the goal and the journey that you're on. Your lifestyle is all about your day-to-day habits that you're doing consistently. And if your habits align with health promoting choices consistently, your body is going to express that. You're not going to be dealing with those issues. Whereas if you were making negative decisions with your health daily.
Right. Agreed. And so I guess what about the individuals that maybe, like, there's a lot of single parents out there. They may feel like they don't have a lot of time. Maybe it's easier to do, like, takeout, or maybe, snacking, this, that, the other. Maybe, they've got a lot going on. They're working a lot, limited time. What are some tips, some insights, maybe some good advice that you could give people who feel like they don't have good time management and they're trying to do the best they can, eat well, maybe exercise, they're trying to do these things? What's some advice you would give these folks?
One of the best things I can say is stay in the health promoting mindset, because, when you're more health conscious, you start to make better decisions revolving around these things. You say, okay, I don't have time to cook. Instead of ordering a pizza, you may find a better option, things like that. Because even though, pizza may put you on the back end of it, even though any takeout or fast food may put you on the back end of things, you can figure out how to move forward or actually develop some type of strategy to help you do so. For instance, let's say if it's a husband and wife and you have 3 children, understanding that, okay, we want to be healthy as a family and we want to do things in a certain direction. This allows you to game plan and be more strategic about it. Now you can actually start implementing more healthful choices, more whole foods, and actually start scheduling it into your lifestyle. A husband and wife can actually buddy up and team up and understand that, okay, we're going to start making more healthier choices. Let's start by maybe implementing a healthy schedule. A healthy schedule, especially, let's say with nutrition, it's going to go, let's say, 1 healthy meal per day. So now we're going to get ourselves in line and start off slow. We don't want to dive straight into things. Start off slow. 1 healthy meal per day. This 1 healthy meal, let's say it's just a breakfast. And now every day you're going to have a healthy breakfast. Mother, father, son, daughter, all the children. Healthy breakfast, start off our day. Now we're building a foundation of where everyone expects a nice, healthy breakfast each and every day. And once you start building on that, the next week, 1 healthy day per week. So not only are you having 1 healthy breakfast every day, 1 day per week, you're going to have a healthy day. So this may be a meatless Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever day you decide, it's going to be a healthy day. Now, whatever you decide, whatever your dietary choices are, you're going to make sure you're focused on that the whole day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, however, and you're going to schedule and implement that. So now you have that 1 healthy meal per day. Now you have the healthy day per week. And now you want to move forward with the healthy week per month. So now you got a schedule that's flatlined for everyone to understand. Okay, we're eating healthy breakfasts from now on. And now on Wednesday, we're going to have a health promoting Wednesday for everybody in the house. We're all focusing on eating healthy. And then when you move forward to that 1 healthy week, this is 1 week per month where everyone's dialed in on, okay, we're living a health promoting lifestyle for this complete week to get everybody from the from the head of the household all the way to the bottom on the same schedule to be able to understand the flow of things. And if you map this out on a calendar, kids can see it and they understand it and they're actively involved in it, because when it comes down to children, you have to get them involved in the process. You can't just push healthy food in front of them and take away the chicken nuggets and the pizza and the burgers and expect them to be okay with that, because that's just not going to happen.
Not happening.
Yeah. Sometimes you might have to take them to the grocery store, have them pick out, the vegetables or pick out whatever other whole foods that you're going to have. Get them involved with the cooking process. If they're old enough, have them watch it and explain to them and educate them why we're doing this. Because once they understand the why, things start to click. And once things start to click, they know what to expect. And once you know what to expect, you start to get in line and start doing better. And you remember these things. And not only what happens is you create more health promoting activities, but you're also creating a healthy lifestyle for children when they grow up. And this 1 healthy week can easily evolve into 2 healthy weeks, or 3, 4, a whole healthy month, all the way until you get to the point where these healthy choices are consistent in your diet and lifestyle. And that's one way you can approach the nutritional spectrum when it comes down to healthy eating.
Oh, great advice, Kellen. Oh my gosh. I love that. I think, if there's some families out there listening right now that could just implement that, I think that's a great strategy. Starting out a day, the week, the month, and then you develop that, you become disciplined enough to be able to maintain that, because 21 days to build a habit, and then you just progress forward. I think that's wonderful.
Right. And it's like I say, it's just all about just being consistent. And the main thing about it is the best thing, it's not like a full-blown commitment. You don't have to go destroy your cupboard and get rid of your pantry, wipe out your refrigerator. No, you progressively work through it. And through the educational process, you say, okay, we need to eliminate, these oils or these fatty items that are there, these high calories, processed foods. You start eliminating them. Once you run through them, just don't buy them anymore. And then you start seeing things changing, and you start just incorporating more healthier foods into your diet and lifestyle. And you start to figure out what you like and what you want, and you start trying different things and doing different things, going different places. And it just opens up the door to a better experience instead of just picking up a diet book or buying a cookbook and just trying to just sit on it and do different things and just submerge yourself in. Allow yourself to grow through the process and just understand where you're at on that spectrum, and make sure you're working towards your goals each and every time for yourself and for your family.
Absolutely. And you brought up earlier about, being, stressed out, maybe a lot more stress, not eating well. And, obviously it impacts sleep, impacts everything around us. And you brought up a great point. It impacted relationship. Do you feel like, obviously there's a direct correlation between, our lifestyle and how we dictate things. What's some advice you would give folks on maybe the benefits and how this has now affected maybe even your relationship once you changed, your lifestyle through diet, sleeping, etc.? Like, in your experience, what was that like?
Well, I can really say that I was always someone that was more of a loner growing up. And it wasn't because of any particular reason. It's just I like being by myself. And that's okay. I learned that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being by yourself. But you want to be able to make connections and have, a relationship where you can reach out and connect with someone in a positive way, because there are people that are loners and by themselves, but they don't have the ability to connect with people. And that's where the problem really comes from. Like, if you can't connect and you want to connect, this puts you in a state of loneliness. And that loneliness is what really compromises your health. This is what causes the high blood pressure. This is what causes the chronic condition to occur, because this loneliness has an effect on what's called your sympathetic nervous system. And when the sympathetic nervous system is heightened, this is where the stress of everything starts to elevate. And when people find themselves in this chronic state of loneliness, anything can start occurring. And one of the biggest things is that you no longer have someone that's like looking out for you and someone that cares about what you're doing. So you tend to make less healthier choices, because who's watching? Like, who's going to stop you from drinking that whole bottle of wine? Like, nobody's there.
Nobody.
So, those things come into play. But, the biggest thing is just building more connection. So as I continue to get older and experience more things, I ended up meeting my wife. And before I married her, we were at her going away event that was in Baltimore. And I watched all the people that had so much love for her as she was leaving their city, just like, hey, we're going to miss you and all this thing. And the vibrations and the atmosphere was just amazing. And I was just in awe, like, man, all these people. And it was like 50-something people between the 2 days that we were there that came out, showed love, and just wished her off as she moved to South Florida. So as I was there, I just felt the energy and I saw the connections that she had throughout the city. And I was like, wow, that's a big thing. But as I continued on my studies and my journey and understanding more about lifestyle and these connections, I started to understand what love energy was all about and how it flowed through the body. Because when you look at, I like to use this example for a lot of people. Have you ever seen these older couples that are up in age, maybe 80, 90 years old together? They're older and they've been together seemingly forever. So you look at couples like that, they might not have the healthiest lifestyle. They're not always loaded with money to do all the traveling and do all these amazing things. They just have each other. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, from my understanding, it's like this love energy that keeps them tethered together and keeps them growing and nurturing each other. And sadly, what happens is when one of them do pass away, you tend to see that the other one passes away shortly after. And I can attribute that to that's just that love energy that's been broken. And it's like, what else am I here for? My life partner has just transitioned and I'm just here. And then now you tend to see the lifestyle aspect start to catch up with them. and then they soon to meet their demise also after, just everything has transpired. So understanding that the better your connections are, even when it comes down to intimate relationships or with your children, your friends, your family, the better connections you have, the more, accountability you have also on what you're doing throughout your life, but also this love energy, these connections and this flow is coming through, and this positivity that flows through you not only helps you when it comes down to your emotional wellness and things like that, but it just keeps you just accountable on the right path. Because if you have friends that are, that are assets to you when it comes down to just being there, they're not going to let you go down a road that's going to compromise you. If they do, they're not your best choices of friends, So, that type of accountability is really, really big. And the better connections that you build and the more connections that you build, the better health benefits that you tend to experience. And from my research that I've seen and studied through all the different medical journeys, a lot of this comes from the actions of volunteering and helping others. Because when you help other people, you're not just helping them on their journey, but you're also help yourself when you're involved in this process. Because what happens is, you ever got that warm feeling after you did something nice for somebody? That's a healing feeling that's coming from your parasympathetic nervous system. You got the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. That parasympathetic is your rest and digest system. This is what calms down the stress levels in your body. And when you get that warm feeling from doing something nice for someone, this is that healing effect that takes place in your body. And when you're constantly doing that, you're constantly healing and rejuvenating yourself and keeping that flow of love energy going.
Oh my gosh. Love it so much. It's, I think that's maybe this is why, we even just charitable acts in general have for millennia have worked their way into sacred texts, worked their way into scriptures and all that throughout the ages, where people talk about charitable effects, whether it was scientifically known or whether it was that feeling that people had just primordially. There's something to be said about doing something for others.
Right. And that's what we're hardwired for. Like, as humans, we're hardwired to help each other. Like, I personally believe that we're on this planet to help someone else, help a particular group of people, but we must find our purpose and be able to live in our purpose in order to help assist others. So, once it comes down to it, this is like why I chose to be involved in this field, because if I'm able to just connect with people and just inspire them in any type of way, whether it's through my Instagram page or my social media platforms, or just working directly hand in hand with them, just sparking that light and giving somebody some inspiration to make a better decision, you never know how far that can actually take this person. And, just understanding that, this is my goal, this is my mission. I move in my own essence, and not just people that connect with me, they connect with me because of who I am. I don't try to just show up and be someone else or pretend to be this. I show up as me every day. Every time you see me, you see this guy with beard and his hair shows up and he's talking the same message. Understand your lifestyle, understand how you're living and how it's affecting your overall health. And when you understand these things, you start to just do better and live better at the end of the day.
Love that. Why is it so challenging for people to just live and, be their authentic selves? Like, why is it so challenging for people?
Well, because our society, this social media, this microwave society that we have, people want the instant gratification. They want the likes. They want people to love them. And they haven't put the work in for somebody to actually love you. Like, you got to show up and put the work in for some people to really embrace you and love you. But one thing that I learned is that, you really have to love yourself first. And once you understand what you're all about and and how you feel about yourself and what your journey is all about, it makes all these things a whole lot easier. And for me, it started with forgiveness. I had to forgive my dad for just leaving me when I was 18 years old. And, this my dad left when he was 18. I went my whole life with my dad being in my corner right there. And then when I turned 18, he just disappeared. He just left and moved to another part of the state. And that crushed me. And it hurt me so much to the point was like, I was going through things. I had just became an adult and I was learning things and I needed him to be there at that critical time. And it crushed me when he left and I had to figure things out the hard way. And I started to hold a grudge with him. And through that grudge, I stopped letting people win. I really just started doing things for myself. I became a really big loner, just moving on my own path. But once I started understanding that he has his life to live, he moved for whatever reason that he had, I had to accept that and let it go and just be more forgiving. And then I started to reach out to him and just connect with him more and just let him know, like, yo, you're still my dad. Like, I'm not holding the grudge that I was holding. And that forgiveness that I had to develop for him, it opened me up to just understanding how to live within my own essence and be myself and make the decisions for myself that's going to allow me to thrive and move in the right direction, especially when it just comes to just, my overall lifestyle, how I present myself to the world, how I deliver my message, how I raise my children. And, all those things just play a role.
Right on. And I think there's something to be said, a lot to be said about forgiveness and just the strength that it takes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And
Takes
that's one. It does take some strength. And, it's in that strength comes a lot of understanding because I didn't realize why I needed to do that until just all those nights of just sitting there frustrated for no particular reason and not understanding why. And, the thing about it, this is the craziest part about me and my father's relationship. I would feel such a way towards him. Like even one point in time, I felt like if he was to pass away, I wouldn't go to his funeral. And that's horrible to say, but I felt that way. Mm-hmm. And I had to realize that that's not the way that you want to feel inside of you, because even though you feel that way, you might not think nothing of it. It's doing something inside of you. That feeling is there destroying you at some point. So once I understood that, this is not what I want, I had to really understand how to change this. And the worst part about it is I might have felt this way. And then when I would talk to my dad, I would be all smiles and happy and glad to talk to him, even though I would kind of had a little, I felt the type of way about him leaving me. So I was like, man, I want to be happy talking to my dad. I don't want to feel this way. And I had to really let that go and understand, like, this is my father. He taught me so much in those 18 years that I was with him. And even though we did have this disconnect, he don't deserve for me to treat him this way. And he wouldn't like for me to walk around feeling this way. And just understanding and having that mindset of like, hey, you got to let this go because this is affecting everything else in your overall life, especially with your health. Letting that go really released a big burden on me and allowed me to just continue to open up and just be myself.
Right on. You were able to have that strength and get to the root of what was causing that suffering, what was causing that pain, which then was probably what was making you make these poor health choices and life choices and things like that. And there's a lot of people out there who are probably in the almost exact same spot or have something that they still need to make peace with and they need to forgive so they can move on.
Yep. And, forgiveness is a big piece of the puzzle. We don't put much emphasis on relationships in our society, but relationships are the effects of intimacy on your overall health is a big part of it. Most people think about nutrition as being a big factor, which it is, but intimacy and your overall relationships is directly connected to your health and the longevity of everything, because you're not going to move through life in a state of loneliness, just blocking off people and cutting them out. You're not going to have a healthy, sustainable lifestyle doing those things. So the sooner you work forgiveness into your whole lifestyle, the better things will become, because you're no longer carrying that big bag of, of burdens of everything that you're dealing with. You get to take these things out and drop them off and let them go. And before you know it, the weight of the world comes off your shoulder and you get to just be free and be yourself and just release and go and do what you want to do without having to worry about another individual and what else they have going on. So understanding how to check your relationships with not only your friends and your and your loved ones, but just understanding how to handle and deal with these things on your terms is going to be a big part of it. I'm not saying just go and forgive everybody and just that, but I'm just saying work your way through it and understand it. That way you don't end up in the same position.
Yeah, so true. And like, I think a lot of folks don't realize, they're going through life with these feelings of resentment, hurt, animosity, jealousy, all these different things, depending on what kind of relationship it is. And like it on a physiological level, it's affecting us. It's affecting every cell of our body.
Yep. And that's one thing that we don't, and this is one of the biggest things, that the science behind this is what's really coming to the forefront of it. Because when you think about it, you hear about new breakthroughs in prescription medication and all the drugs and things like that. But you don't hear the breakthroughs in understanding your lifestyle and what you can do that's not going to cost you any money to actually help yourself get better. And with the information that's being pushed forward right now with doctors like Dr. Dean Ornish and those guys in this whole lifestyle area, they're showing people that, hey, when you check your lifestyle in these areas, you get better results with your overall health. And when you do things like living a lifestyle where you're chronically stressed, you're isolated and lonely, these things are a driving factor in the chronic conditions that we're dealing with. These things are not, you may be genetically predisposed to this issue, but you can control these things through your day-to-day actions. You understand your lifestyle, you can prevent heart disease, you can prevent diabetes, high blood pressure, and all these things. But the thing about it is, we're in this society where we look for a pill for every illness that we're dealing with, instead of actually going within ourselves and understanding how we're self-inflicting and causing our own problems.
100%. You're right. And it's, seemingly easier to just, the expression, pop a pill, feel better, or like take this thing and it'll be okay. And I feel like we're now at a point where like, maybe hopefully, more people are starting to realize that that's a proverbial Band-Aid. It's just like masking the bigger issues.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening. And I think more people are waking up to the fact. But what you see a lot is that people are moving away from pharmaceutical medications and transitioning to herbal medications.
Right.
And they're a little bit better, but they don't get to the root cause of the problem. Because if you're taking some pills for, let's say you're having a digestive issue, let's say you're constipated, and your doctor puts you on some type of pills for constipation, you don't want to do that anymore. So you go to the herbalist and you get some type of herb for your constipation. Let's say they give you some cascara sagrada, try to help move things out. That can get you some relief, but did that solve your problem? Why were you constipated in the first place? Go and analyze the diet. That's where lifestyle and nutrition comes into play. Go and analyze your diet to see what caused the constipation. Like, were you eating enough fiber? Were you hydrated? Were you doing all the basics first? And with lifestyle changes, this allows you to go to the root cause of the problem and fix it at its source. Because if I take some pills for constipation, it might clear me out. But if I keep doing the things that cause me to be constipated, I'm going to be right back in the same spot. So lifestyle changes allows you to get to the root cause of the problem, remove it and correct it at its source, and move forward in a health promoting way to the point where I don't have to deal with this type of issue anymore.
Right. We're constantly looking for this quick fix, and I mean, we brought it up earlier. We talked about like social media with like instant gratification or looking for something, a quick fix. Why is it so difficult for folks to want to put the work in? Like, I want to be positive here. I believe in positive mental attitude. I don't want to just say, oh, people are lazy. I don't prescribe to that. But like, why is it challenging for folks to want to put the work in for their own self-care? Like, It's almost like people put themselves last, and they're like thinking about everything else, but they're not really thinking about, what's going on here and here.
Yeah, because we're overstimulated, and this is my opinion. We're overstimulated as a society, And every time we pick up our phones, our devices, and we're scrolling, we only see the good stuff. Social media is all the good stuff, the nice cars, the women and the trips, and, all the good things that we desire in our life. And, we want to be there. But, when it comes down to these things, no one really shows the dirty work that they had to put in to even get to that point. So, we have this false sense of awareness of what it takes to get there. And we see, every time we scroll, we see the best of everybody that we follow. No one really shows themselves in pain, crying, and going through the struggle and with the emotional issues and, dealing with, the transition issues with the diet and lifestyle. No one really posts a lot about those things. You get some in but you don't get a lot of those things. Most people see the instant gratification and they know this is what they want, but they really don't know how to get there. They don't know where to go. And then the toughest part about it, you have a lot of influencers out there that uses their platform and they push a lot of products and supplements and things like that, which, it can be helpful for some people in certain areas. I'm not knocking it at all. But what happens is, again, that brings out the box of Band-Aids to put on everybody. You go Band-Aiding everybody up with whatever supplement, it keeps them from getting to the root cause of their true problem.
Yes, agreed. And like you said, sure, not knocking it. I'm sure there's beneficial aspects to those things. Sure. But, it's getting people to get into that healthy mindset, right? Mind, body, spirit, and just aligning themselves to be able to, again, you said it best, that lifestyle and those lifestyle choices that are positive.
Correct. And that's all the things that really matter, man. What you're doing on the day-to-day aspect, how you're living your life is going to directly determine how your life ends. Are you going to end your life on your deathbed, dealing with some chronic issue for the last 10, 20 years of your life like most people? Oof. Or are you going to go out on your own terms with your own independence, still able to drive your car at 90 years old and still able to go out and maintain your house at that upper age? And that's what most people don't think about. They don't think about getting up in age and maintaining their independence. That's off of our radar. We think about, getting older, but we think that getting older means that you're supposed to be sick and ill. But with the information that's out there, that's just simply not the case. When you focus on your lifestyle right now, when you're 30, 40, 50, even 60 years old, you can make the changes to where you continue to maintain your independence as you get older. And that's ultimately what most people want. No one wants to end up in the hospice with some type of caretaker having to turn them over, wipe them down, and cleanse them up. And unfortunately, a lot of people do. But lifestyle changes put you in a position to maintain your independence and take care of yourself as you get 90 years old or however older, and hopefully pass away peacefully in your own home around your friends and family in comfort, and not spending the last 20 years on pills, having to have surgery and correct different issues, and in just a state of discomfort. Nobody really wants that. So when you start understanding that lifestyle changes keeps you from having to deal with those things, this is where you get that understanding, and those dots start to get connected, and you start to do better.
Agreed, 100%. I find it so fascinating because, like, I have friends who, they've had grandparents, live into their hundreds, and maybe 90s, and then you have some friends like, sadly, parents passed away in their 50s or 60s, and not by like tragic accidents or anything, but, because of lifestyle choices and things of that nature. So it's always fascinating to me to really like listen to people's stories and like to find out the root of, how they lived, and then like associate that, and then there's always someone who brings up the stories of like, well, this person was 30 and they were a marathon runner and they dropped dead, and like they ate healthy, and yeah, sure. And then someone will say, well, I'm here for a good time, not a long time, and I understand the sentiment. I totally get it. Memento mori. I totally get it. Or YOLO, however you want to put it. But at the end of the day, it's my opinion, our body's our temple. I want to like preserve it as best as possible, and I think I know what you're doing, you're giving so much to everybody, and you're putting out so much positive energy into the world, and you're helping people to just try and maybe look at things a little bit differently. And that just is commendable, Kellen. I personally can't thank you enough for what you're doing for the world and what you put out there.
I definitely appreciate it, man. Like, again, I just want to turn on someone's light bulb. If I reach one person a day, that's more than enough for me, because at least when someone wakes up and thinks about what they're doing and how it's affecting them, they could just make a better decision the next day. And again, all of they're your choices. Our lifestyle, you have your choice of how you decide to live this lifestyle.
Right.
But I know for a fact that everyone wants to be independent and take care of themselves throughout this journey. And it's very irresponsible, especially if you have a chronic condition. It's very irresponsible to not, to handle and live a lifestyle accordingly to handle some of the issues that you're dealing with or that you may be facing. Like if you have a chronic condition, you should be on top of this game. Now, if you have high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever, your goal is to get rid of it. Like, how do I change this? Because these issues have been proven to be reversible. You don't have to have high blood pressure. You don't have to be on high blood pressure medication the rest of your life. And That's a fact. Same thing with diabetes. All this information is out there. So to the individuals that are dealing with these type of issues, understand that it's up to you to make these changes. Your doctor is not always going to tell you what's available to you, because information changes consistently. But going out, doing the research, understanding what it is that you need to do to correct these issues is not only going to help you deal with this problem, but it's going to help create that longevity that you desire to either, continue to live your life, see your grandkids grow up and play baseball and do all those things in between. Because cutting your life short at 63 because of heart disease or heart attack or what have you, that's not on my radar. And, it shouldn't be on anyone else's. Just understanding like, hey, I need to go ahead and make some changes. Let me put these harmful things. Let me stop smoking. Let me cut back on the drinking. Let me start eating more healthier foods. Let me start being more mentally focused on these things so I can do better. And again, like, I don't push a diet or push certain things in front of people's faces. I just say, hey, just be aware of these things. And, I try to put forth the best options from my knowledge and my experience about how to move forward with it. Because one thing that I learned is that there's no perfect diet for any individual. Like, you're never going to find what's perfect for you, right? Because everybody's at a different state of health at any different time. And the transition is going to be different from everyone. But when the individual consciously looks and tries to make these type of changes, and they start to do something and move in a certain direction, a positive direction, they start to understand what's comfortable for them and how, and it helps them reach the goals that they're looking to acquire. So if a keto diet helps you get healthy and do the things that you've been missing out on, albeit make it work for you and understand it as you go with it. So understanding that your lifestyle is in your hands, and the choices that you make day to day is going to pretty much allow your life to play out the way that it needs to.
Love that. And it's another reason why, one of the many reasons why I love your approach. And it's just authentic. It's real. It's organic, pardon the pun, but it really is, it's like, like you said, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. You're not trying to push something like a specific diet or whatever, but just awareness.
Right. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is the most important and most crucial thing. It's just that awareness piece that a lot of people miss, or maybe they're, that we get so caught up and happy in our habits, right? We get so happy and content in our luxury or our traditions even. I think a lot of people, there's like this dichotomy between truth and tradition. Well, it's traditional to do these things, so I do them. Versus like the truth is, this probably isn't the healthiest thing.
Right. Agree. And, and that's where, being responsible comes in at, you got to be responsible for certain things, especially when it comes down to your overall health. Like for my family, we were big time cookers. Every weekend, every every holiday with someone barbecuing and cooking and doing all these things. And we were always drinking and having a party. And, it was just what we did. But once I understood that I couldn't live that lifestyle if I wanted to get healthy, I started drawing the line and cutting back on these things. And unfortunately, it isolated me from a lot of family events and things like that. But I knew that what I was doing was for the better interest in what I needed to do, the things that I wanted to accomplish. So understanding that, culturally we're influenced to do certain things,
right.
But having a responsible mindset of this is not really in alignment with my health goals. This is gonna just help you make better decisions. And again, this is where the spectrum comes into play at, because let's say you do live a healthy lifestyle and Christmas comes up and you're here, you're on the healthier side. You might do decide to have an extra piece of cake or, a drink or two or what have you. But at least you know that I'm not dogging myself out day in, day out and just going through these things. I know that my lifestyle is a health promoting lifestyle. I can do better. I'm going to do better the next day. And I'm not going to have to worry about dealing with the issues of what I consume on one day or a couple of days out of the year.
Absolutely. And it goes to that old adage, moderation, everything in moderation, and like for folks to be able to, moderate what they do and not be excessive with things, the sweets or, what have you, the drinks or whatever. It's like you said, if you're maintaining a healthy lifestyle, then, it's celebratory and it's a treat.
Right. It's not going to burn your house down just to have a slice of whatever. It's not going to do that, because your body is designed for healing. It's designed to cleanse and purge and remove anything that can potentially compromise itself. But the issue that most people run with is that, okay, you put something in your body that can compromise you. Your body can get rid of it, but if you put it in and you keep putting it in, then your body doesn't have time to do the work. And that's where we see the obesity, the chronic issues, and all those things manifest, because the body's not able to rid itself of these things that develop and build up over time. And like we see, we always talk about that those 10 pounds you put on after high school and things like that. That's where that comes from. Each year or so, however many years you keep putting on weight, because you're constantly just flooding the body with these things. And your metabolism slows down, and your body just packing on all these things. Before you know it, you're 30 pounds heavier than you was, and you're trying to figure it out. So it just comes with making these lifestyle changes. And when you start removing these things, you start to see the weight and everything else starts to shift and change. And that's the beauty of lifestyle changes, because the more health promoting things you implement into your lifestyle, the healthier you get in a faster amount of time. So this is not something that, okay, I got to wait a year or two to actually start seeing the benefits of it. You start sleeping better tonight, next week, 2 weeks, you're going to start clicking a lot better. And this is going to translate into every aspect, because your sleep is directly connected to your stress. Your stress is directly connected to your eating habits. Your eating habits are directly connected to your exercise habits. All these things are connected. So once you start getting better in one area, all the other areas start to get influenced positively. And now this domino effect start to happen within you, and you start to reap the benefits of a healthy lifestyle.
100%. What that was the biggest eye opener for me was my sleep. I worked a rotating schedule, and my shifts sometimes late at night, early in the morning, and it would vary, it would change, plus with, being in a band, it was like late nights, long drives. It was just like my sleep suffered, stress levels were out of control, and luckily, I had adjusted my diet for those things anyway. I had already been eating healthier, but when I wasn't eating healthier, 20 plus years ago, it's a recipe for disaster. Everything was just awful. I thought negatively because I was treating myself negatively. Yeah. It was a no-brainer. And then once
hand in hand.
Yeah. And once you change those things, you start seeing all the benefits, like you're saying, like it's like, I wish we could somehow reach in and touch someone like mentally and be like, look, I'm going to give you just a feeling of what a week would be like if you just took care of yourself,
Right.
just to feel that, because it really does. It transforms you inside and out. And you start seeing, like, when you're taking care of your inner world, your outer world becomes significantly better.
It does. It really does. And that's one thing that most people miss out on, unfortunately. No one really knows, like, well, I won't say no one. A lot of people don't really understand what it truly feels like to be healthy and, vibrant and up there, because we've been suppressing ourselves with the medication, the stimulants, the poor food choices, and all these things. But once you get in that alignment, there's no way you want to go back. And that feeling, is something I wish that most people can get a grasp of, like waking up and having that spunk as soon as you get out of the bed. That's an amazing feeling. I remember I finished my last fast and I woke up, I was like, man, I'm wired. Like,
yes.
And I need to get going. Like, and that's a great feeling, especially when you can do that every day and be able to put in the work to accomplish the goals that you're after. Because again, when you get your lifestyle in check, you're able to pursue whatever it is that you want without having to worry about everything on the back end. I can focus my attention on my career or my business or my children or whatever it is, because you're not worried about getting healthy or taking your pills and your medication and stuff like that. You can exhaust all your energy where it needs to be, go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. And that's why it's really important for people like entrepreneurs to know that, hey, your lifestyle is a driving factor in your business, because most entrepreneurs, the sleep is off because of their work. They have to work and put the work in for the job. The stress is there because of the nature of the business and what they have going on. Nutrition is usually off because they're usually eating on the go and doing different things. So I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and let them know, like, hey, the better you get control of your lifestyle, the sooner you'll see it on the back end with everything that you're doing, because now you're able to put the energy into your business in the right areas. And now you can be more efficient at doing what you need to do. Forget about the late nights. Yeah, you need to write that book and get these things going. But once you understand that, hey, if you go to bed and rejuvenate yourself, you're going to have more energy on the front end to actually just get it done and tap into it. And unfortunately, it's hard to get that message out, because we're in this society where now is the motive for everyone. But with waking people up and just delivering the message, you're really just helping people just understand that there's a better way, a more efficient way, and your lifestyle is going to be that direct driving factor.
Couldn't agree more. I think you're so right, because like there's this, like, especially for entrepreneurs, like there's this hustle mentality, like, oh, I gotta hustle. You can still hustle, but long term, what are you doing for yourself? What are you doing for your business? If you're suffering incrementally, daily, weekly, monthly, like, you're not helping your business.
Exactly.
You're not helping yourself.
Once they realize that they are their biggest asset in business, it starts to make more sense. Because what happens when you're an entrepreneur and you go down for a week because of you got sick or something else came about and you just couldn't do it? Your business suffers on the back end. So if you treat yourself like you're your biggest asset, get that exercise, getting that sleep, and treating your body like I need to be here to do what I need to do. Once you establish that within yourself, then it's just going to project into your business. And this sets the tempo, because when your employees or team members start to see you all vibrant and juiced up and hype, they're going to want some of that of what you're on, and they're going to be able to deliver and make things happen. So it's just really about the lifestyle, because we see, unfortunately, like, as I remember Elon Musk was in this article. I want to say it was last year maybe that I saw it, but he was dealing with a lot of stress issues and things like that. And of course, he has a $1 billion company and all these things going on. But all the things that he was saying were in direct alignment with other people, other business owners that I know, because of the stress levels and the things that they're dealing with. And the best part about Elon Musk's story was that he was actually able to just take a step back and start taking care of himself the way that he needed to, because he saw the value that he delivered. I'm like, hey, I need to take care of myself if I plan on getting this Starlink or whatever up to where I want it to be. And when he started doing that, he said he saw the biggest changes in his business overall. And when business owners are able to take a step back and just tap into themselves first, then they're able to slingshot themselves and into their business and push forward and get the things done that they need to.
100%. Yeah, I'm familiar with the article or the story, at least you're talking about. I remember even him just making sure that, like, if he was going to sleep, he would just sleep in the factory, but he made sure he got that sleep so he could wake up and still be there, fall asleep there, but made sure he was on that regimen to make sure, like, all right, cool, I got to take care of this. I got to take care of me. And you're so right. If we're not taking care of ourselves, nothing else is gonna flourish at all. Like anything in nature.
Yep. I definitely agree.
So what's some advice you'd give folks, some things that you can do for folks? You've got a lot going on. People can obviously find you on Instagram. And what are some things that you can offer folks and help them out with?
Well, my whole primary focus is just helping people connect those dots that they might not understand in the area of lifestyle. And this comes by just education and knowledge. And when you're able to connect these dots and see what you're doing, this leads you down the path of understanding and doing better. So I've written several ebooks and I have developed many different courses that relate to these different areas in lifestyle, whether it's about understanding your sleep, understanding your stress, understanding your relationship, all these different things. That way you can pinpoint what's going on with you and understand it, because most people know if they're not sleeping right, they're not getting enough sleep. Most people know if they're stressed. Most people know if their relationships are bad. Most people know if they're not eating right. So understanding, like, okay, my relationships are a problem. My stress is an issue. I need to focus on these two areas. How do I go about doing so? And that's where, I feel the void of helping people understand the different type of strategies and techniques that they can apply in order to get better in these areas. Because it's easy to tell somebody hey, man, you need to get some more sleep. That's easy to say.
Right.
But if this person has this job or children, a newborn, and all these other things, it can be very difficult to apply this. So understanding how to self-diagnose these type of issues that you're dealing with, this is where it becomes a priority. Like, for instance, with sleep hygiene, understanding what you're doing before bedtime and understanding what you're doing before bedtime that could possibly be compromising the quality and quantity of sleep that you're having is going to be a big part of it. So breaking down sleep hygiene, helping people understand their habits before bed is a starting point, a critical part of it, because most people self-inflict a lot of damage when it comes down to getting sleep. I know this gentleman, 60-something years old, yoga instructor, been doing it for the longest, healthy lifestyle, all these things, but he has trouble sleeping. He's like, hey, man, I've been dealing with this problem. And come to find out, his biggest disruptor was caffeine. The caffeine was destroying his sleep habits. And he was like most people, they're like, I need my coffee. I got to get my coffee. I'm like, I get it. But right now, coffees are trouble because you're overstimulating your body in this area. If you want to correct your sleep, you got to trust me and understand that drawing back on this caffeine at this moment is going to help you connect this dot. He ended up doing this process for, I want to say, a week or two, and just started withdrawing, bringing it down, his consumption, and he started getting better results through the quality of his sleep. So I was like, yo, it's just that simple, just understanding a strategy, a tactic, or what's actually could be contributing to the problem, removing it at its root cause, and then you will see things get better. Like, health doesn't have to be complicated in rocket science. Health is as simple as the truth. And the truth is always going to be a simple thing. It's not going to be something that's overly explained. You stop doing what's causing your problem, and you will see a difference in the way you move forward. So the tools I provide help people understand how to approach their lifestyle, how to address it. And I put it in a simple format where they can have an audio course or a digital ebook or whatever product that they need to channel in and understand it, understanding sleep, understanding stress, understanding nutrition, all these things from the ground level. Because with most people, you don't want to overwhelm them with a bunch of information. Start at the ground level and work your way into it and understand the biggest part of it, which is mindset. You have to have the mindset when you're approaching these type of changes, because many people say, I want to get healthy, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, but they don't shift the mindset into gear in order to do that. So a big part of the coaching is understanding your mindset and how to dive into these changes. Don't dive in head first if you're not ready. And if you dive in head first and you're not ready, you're going to sink. You're going to sink, you're going to drown, and you're going to damage your chances of continually getting better because you failed at something. And when most people fail, they get discouraged. So developing the mindset behind lifestyle changes is one of the big part of it. And all of my ebooks and courses all have a mindset aspect to it. That way you can understand, man, how am I going to approach this stress issue or the sleep issue? Or how am I going to approach fasting and cleansing, intermittent fasting, all these different things? Understanding how to approach it first and then applying it strategically to your lifestyle. And the best part about everything is that once you learn how to do it, it becomes free. Like everything becomes free after that. All you have to do is understand it. You want to learn how to manage your stress, learn deep breathing exercise or learn meditation. Once you learn these things, you can apply it wherever you're at, in your house, in your job, in your car, you're like at a park, whatever, and it becomes free to you. So once you develop the lifestyle and the healthy practices, all these things are free to you, and life and your body doesn't change. Your physiology, none of these things don't change because you're hardwired for these things. And once you start implementing these tactics consistently throughout your lifestyle, you will continue to see improvement throughout the course of your life. And this is all scientifically proven research that is there for people to understand. Like when you think about it, when society was built, even before society, when the first humans were walking the earth, that wasn't a pharmaceutical company and all these things. Like, how did they manage themselves? Like, how did they deal with these things? And even as we progressed as a society, you got all the ancient yoga practices and all these different ancient meditation practices. They developed these things and these practices to deal with these type of issues. And it's been proven how meditation, as transcendental meditation, it taps into your sympathetic nervous system and brings everything down and calms the body and brings down the blood pressure and controls all these things. And that's where the teachings come into play, and just understanding that once I learn these things, I can actually be in control of my health. All I have to do is take responsibility and apply it.
Love all of that. So accurate. So with that, with all of that, so where can folks find you on the internet, on social media? Because I implore everyone to just follow you and check it out.
Yeah, I love to hang out on the internet. I'm always there. I'm there with my children because I do a lot of homeschooling and I like to get them involved in everything that I'm doing. But I'm always on social media. You can find me at all of my handles are A Wealthy Mindset, and it's AWELLTHY Mindset, MINDSET, a wealthy mindset, because that's what it's all about, man. Developing a wealthy mindset overall in your approach to life in general. And depending on how wealthy you want to be, that's how big of an approach you actually want to take. So you can find me there at A Wealthy Mindset. And for all of my content and all of my content and ebooks and things like that, you can find it at lifestyleawm.com. And lifestyleawm.com, you can find all of my information there. And you can see everything that I have to offer when it comes down to ebooks and courses and digital tools that you can apply right there on the spot with everything. Because again, lifestyle changes can start right now. Simply getting the ebook and understanding, where to begin with these changes. I can start implementing them now and seeing how they affect my life. Because again, everyone really knows what they're doing wrong, but you have to be able to connect the dots and understand how to move forward to get yourself out of that position.
That's the best. That's the best advice. Oh, Kellen, thank you so very much for doing this today, man. I love you so much, and I know you know that. So I appreciate you doing this, man.
Man, it's definitely a pleasure, man. Of course, man. I just love being here, man. Connecting with you is like, it's always a blessing because I aspire to get my beard, like, you know, that's one thing. And it's just like, you know, just being able to, you know, be on your platform, you know, that's a blessing just to be here and just pass on the information and the knowledge to help people understand that we have more control. Like, you know, the control comes from within us. And once we just understand this and develop the knowledge of how to take care of ourselves on a lifestyle standpoint from the ground level, it just gets really easier. We don't have to look at the all the medical equations and all these case studies and things like that. Go back to the basics of understanding the foundation. When you understand the foundation, it pushes you, it connects really simple. Because again, when it comes down to the truth is as simple as it gets. It doesn't take any cross references, anything. It all makes sense right in your face. And when you understand your truth and what you're doing wrong, it's easier to move forward. And these lifestyle changes are really comprehensive. And they're for each and every one, no matter how old you are, 50, 60, 70 years old. If you're still breathing, you can make changes because, again, the more changes you make, the better you'll feel. The better you feel, the more you're going to be able to do. And that's what it's all about.
And there you have it. I absolutely love Kellen, and I appreciate his energy, his time. I just can't get enough. I just love our conversations, man. So thank you so much for sharing your time, your space, and your energy with all of us today. We talked about so many great things in this episode, like the direct impact on our health that our diet and lifestyle have. It's super important to take care of this vessel. Be sure to check out Kellen's books, Journey to Rejuvenation. You can also check out the new Redesign Your Health, as well as the new book, The Exhausted Entrepreneur. So be sure to check that out. You can follow Kellen on TikTok. You can connect with him on YouTube. And I definitely implore you all to follow Kellen on Instagram at A Wealthy Mindset. And that's wealthy with WELLTHY. Wealthy. I love that. I cannot thank you all enough for joining us today. Until next time, take care of one another and keep thinking for yourself.